think the most important thing for me when I'm talking about stuff on YouTube or any place else is for me to acknowledge that I'm not a scientist. See, it's always interesting to me how people speculate about things, but they don't see their speculation as just that, speculation. And for me, I'm going to be honest, speculation is speculation. There are a lot of times I'm thinking about something a certain way, and I'm talking about things. And there's so many things in this world we speculate about. We don't know. There are lots of things that a lot of scientists don't know. But I like science. And I was reading this article. This guy said, it was something called Why I Hate Science. Except when you look at the article and you read it all the way through, you realize the guy, it wasn't just a matter of joking. The thing was that he didn't, at the end of it, you realize he really didn't hate science. In fact, he loved science. It's just that he hates what some people are doing to scientists. I mean, that's not the scientists, but the science. And especially some scientists. In fact, particularly many scientists. Because, when you get into science, I think about the quote from Einstein where he said that, the only difference between scientific thinking and everyday thinking is a matter of refinement. That's the only difference. And the thing is that a lot of times, people don't stop to think about things. They don't stop to look at stuff. And to realize that, yeah, science is limited. Science doesn't answer everything. It can't answer everything. There are lots of questions in this world that we have that science does not answer, and in many ways probably can't ever answer. And you know what? That's okay. It's perfectly okay if science can't answer all those questions. Science does what science does. And people just can't deal with that. They can't deal with that simple fact that science does what science does. It gives you some answers to some questions about some things. But you know what? You have a mind too. You have a brain. You have the ability to go out and look for things and seek out answers. And a lot of the contributions made to science, when you think about it, were actually made by people who weren't scientists. Not every contribution to science comes from scientists. Now, there's some misunderstandings people have. Only scientists make contributions to science. That's not true. That's not true. In many ways, we all make a contribution to science. Science is just a body of knowledge of things that we can be pretty sure of because it's gone through rigorous testing, experimentation. We've looked at it. It's been established through a process. And one person said something that I didn't agree with, at all. He said that there is no knowledge outside of science. And I think that that's not true. That's obviously not true. It's just that you can say that anything outside of science isn't scientific yet. It hasn't been established yet and been brought into the fold of science. But your own experiences. If you had a stomach ache right now, there's no science that's telling you that. You know it. You have knowledge that you have a stomach ache. If you have a toothache, or if you're feeling good today, if you're in a good mood, you feel that. You don't need science to tell you that. That's outside of science, but that's perfectly okay. It's your own experience. If you've had your own wonderful experiences and your once-in-a-lifetime experiences and your personal subjective things and whatever. And those things, to me, are valid in your life. They're valid to you. They're just not valid science. They haven't been brought into, and they don't need to be brought into science, and they're not important for science. I have this person who was on another channel, whose name I'm not going to mention, but he was attacking the shit out of me because I kept talking about my personal feelings and personal experiences and using my own personal stories about it. But, I think the thing was that he's one of these people who thinks he's a scientist. He's not a scientist. And even if he were, this is not a scientific arena. This is YouTube, okay? Let's get real. but he's attacking me vigorously as if I were with the Institute of Science. And I didn't present my stuff as if I were being. I'm just making a video talking about experiences when I went to Japan and how I felt, how I overcame certain problems. I got lost in this situation and I was able to find things. And, just giving little stories that might encourage people who want to travel. But, oh my God, this guy came after me. He was beating me over the head with the stick of science. That was that article, the thing that the guy was talking about, why I hate science. The point he made was that people use science as a stick to hit other people. That's why a lot of people learn to hate science. Because all that happens is people take science and they use it the wrong way. They use it in politics a lot of times to promote an agenda for something. And what the science that they're using isn't even science. It's stuff that's said by people who are scientists, but it's scientists who are speculating on something. They're talking about things that haven't been established yet. Things that have yet to be established. There are lots of things in this world that haven't been established yet. And people don't sort out the difference between scientific speculation, which is 100% valid as long as you understand that it is speculation, and scientific facts. There are things scientists think might be true, and they speculate might be true, and eventually it may be shown to be true. Eventually people might say, okay, yeah, now we have enough information to say, yeah, we can say with great certainty that this is true. We can put this into the circle of scientific fact, not just speculation. The thing about matter and energy, for example, the E equals MC squared thing, scientists speculated for a long time that, long before Einstein came up with that thing, with that equation, that matter and energy were the same thing. That basically matter could be converted to energy, energy to matter. But it was speculative. It was something scientists had speculated as true. Now it's more certain. It's less speculation and more fact. And then maybe in a sense, maybe nothing actually becomes an absolute fact, but it's more closer to that being more established. And it's very unlikely any information in the future is going to overturn that. In the same way that it's very unlikely any information is going to come up that's going to overturn the fact that the Earth is round. Granted, the Earth could get hit by a comet or something that might flatten it out. Who knows? But even then, I don't think it's going to be a flat shape. But the thing is that the shape of the Earth right now, there's no information that you can come up with that could overturn the ideal that the Earth is round. There might be, who knows, maybe somebody might. But you know what? I doubt it. I'm extremely skeptical you would come up with any information that would overturn that. Go back to Einstein. The only difference between scientific thinking and everyday thinking is a matter of refinement. I could be more refined in saying that and more refined in the way I put that. But, it's just a thing. It's something. There are things in everyday life you're pretty sure of. And it would take something for you to overturn that. If I take this pick, for example, this thing is pink in color. I don't know if you can see it, how pink it is. But it's pink. Now, if somebody told me this thing was blue, maybe it really is blue. Maybe there's something wrong with my vision and I'm not seeing colors the right way. But it would take quite a bit of something for you to overturn that ideal in my mind that this is pink. It would be difficult. It wouldn't be hard for you to overturn, certain other things I already believe. I mean, if you're telling me that this salt is salty, if I put it in my hand and taste it and it has a salty taste, it would be hard for you to convince me of that. I'm already convinced. Yeah, it has a salty taste. But if you told me the next time you try that it's going to be sweet, I doubt it. But then I taste it and it might taste sweet. And somebody may say, well, that's sugar. Okay, how am I going to test it for sugar? One thing I know, if I were to take a frying pan, put it on that stove, let it get hot, and I sprinkle a little bit of salt on that pan while it's really hot, if it just sits there, then I can fairly think that it's salt if it starts to melt, though, because sugar, when you put sugar on a hot pan, it will actually melt and turn brown. Then I might be convinced. It's just one of many tests we could run on this stuff. We could take it to the laboratory and do more refined tests, you know, to get there. But the thing is that what science is, it's just basically when something has gone through a process and been established within the rules of science as a fact, within the rules of science. But that doesn't mean that anything outside of science is, there's no knowledge outside of science. We all have knowledge outside of science. 99.99999% of knowledge that we have is outside of science. You know, I'm sorry, but that's the truth. And some people may get angry and upset that I said that. But you have to look at science and see that, look at science for what science is, not for what you wish it would be. Science is a wonderful thing if we put it in perspective and stop making it into something that it really isn't. And that's the truth.